Good evening. I hope my audio and visuals are perfectly fine. Yeah. Good evening. I hope the audio and visuals are perfectly fine. Can you just give me an update if it is like fine?
One second, sir. I'll make you the host.
Yeah. Not an issue.
Sir, you can share the screen, sir.
Okay, the audio and visuals are fine.
Yes, sir.
Okay, perfect. Perfect. Just a moment. So, yes. Good evening, everyone. This side Dr. Abhijeet, and today we are going to start yet another topic in biochemistry, that is immunology. So, yes, guys, these are the exam mastery live classes that we have initiated from June 1st, right? So, yes, it is a 45 days plan, guys, in which we are discussing all the important questions that are no important for the upcoming university exams, right? Even the students who are going to appear for the NEET PG exam, they can also avail the benefit over here, right? I will be discussing all the important topics, right, in a very crisp, concise, and conceptual manner. So, yes. Now, today's topic is immunology, guys. I will be discussing some long and short answer questions. I will be discussing about the immune system, the innate immunity, the acquired immunity, right? The autoimmune disorders, along with the cells and major histocompatibility complex. So that is what I will be discussing up today. Now, guys, before coming to this, let's you already know the core features of the Oracle app, guys, right? We are having these live classes on YouTube as well, and these are streaming on the app as well. Apart from that, guys, if you missed down like any of the classes, we have the recorded classes which are available for you guys, right? Apart from that, after each class, no, every class you are getting these notes, right? And these notes are curated in the form of Q&A, that is the question and the answer format, right? And that is something very beneficial for the first year students who are going to appear for the university exam in August, right? Even after every topic, you will be getting these MCQs. These MCQs are from basic to advanced level, right? They are covering all the important PYTs, that is the previous year topics, along with the previous year questions, right? Even the in the university exams, the MCQs which are, which are like which I feel that are important, that are also being available over here. Everything is like curated in such a way that you can access the university exam well. Now, coming on to this combo plan, guys. So we have a limited offer of this combo plan that is valid up till July 15th, which no, it's cost around like 13,499, where you are getting all the features of the app plus the hard copy of the notebooks, right? So that is this about the combo offer. And yeah, this is the basic structure of the basic plan of this app, right? And apart from that, if you want some extra benefits, I mean extra discounts, guys, you can just use my code Dr. Abhijeet 20 for additional discounts, right? So let us just start about the immune system, guys, right? So yes, the immune system basically represents the yes the potent defense mechanism of the body, right? So now immunity is basically of two types, right? So let us just first discuss in our own way, then I will be coming to this particular part as well. So let us just try to discuss it in our own ways. Then I will be coming on to the question also. So guys, remember that if we talk about the normal immune system, it has two types of immunity, beta. It has two types of immunity. We have the innate immunity. And remember, the innate immunity, it is non-specific, guys. It is non-specific. specific, and the other one that is called as the acquired immunity. That is called as the acquired immunity. And yes, the acquired immunity, it is specific, right? It is specific. It is also called as the adaptive immunity. It is also called as adaptive immunity. It is also called as adaptive immunity. And yes, that is the acquired immunity, the specific or the adaptive immunity. Now, guys, let us just try to bring out certain differences between the innate and the adaptive immunity or the acquired immunity. Now, the innate immunity, it is dealt by certain cells of the body. And yes, remember, guys, it is dealt by neutrophils, right? Firstly, the cells you should remember the neutrophils, we have the eosinophils, basophils, basophils. We have the natural killer cells, the natural killer cells, or I can simply say the NK cells, the natural killer cells or the NK cells, right? And even the monocytes. So the cells which are responsible to bring out the innate immunity, these are the neutrophils, eosinophils, basophils, the natural killer cells, the NK cells, and the monocytes. Now, on the contrast, like on the contrary part, remember, beta, the adaptive, the acquired immunity or the specific immunity, it is dealt by certain cells. And remember, these are nothing but the lymphocytes, right? The lymphocytes, the B lymphocytes, the B cells, right? The T cells are there, B lymphocytes, T lymphocytes are there, right? We have the antibodies. We have the antibodies which are participating over here, right? So yes, now, now guys, the other set of difference that you have to remember over here that this innate immunity, what is the purpose of this innate immunity, guys? That it ensures, beta, it ensures that or any foreign antigen does not enter our body, does not enter our body. It ensures any foreign antigen does not enter our body. And remember, it is the first line defense. It is the first line defense. On the other hand, remember the adaptive or the acquired immunity, it is specific, right? It is specific. And when I say specific, it ensures beta, it ensures specific antigen does not enter our body, does not enter our body. So remember, the innate immunity is something which will ensure that any foreign antigen does not enter our body. Whereas on the other hand, right, remember the acquired one, which is specific, and it will ensure only specific antigen that shouldn't enter our body, right? And remember, it is a second line defense. It is a second line defense of our body. Second line defense of our body. Now, that so that is the basic difference between the innate and the acquired immunity, right? Innate immunity, beta, remember, it is always active, right? It is always active. Let us just try to write over here. If we talk about innate immunity and the acquired immunity. Let us try to pen down some examples and some more differences between them. So remember, beta, innate immunity, it is always active, always active. Now, whereas on the other hand, remember, beta, it is activated only after. It is activated only after, yes, antigen exposures, the specific antigen exposure. Antigen exposure, right? Activated only after antigen exposure. Now, when we say that it is the primary or the first line of defense, the innate immunity, guys, innate immunity, you have to remember, guys, that this is something, if we just talk about the basic examples, the basic example, the first one that is protecting us from the bacteria and everything, guys, it is the skin epithelium, guys. It is the skin epithelium. Yes, the first line of defense, the skin epithelium, right? Even in the no, guys, whenever you try to, you're taking the food particle inside your mouth and it's going to the GIT and the respiratory part. Remember, guys, you're taking all the bacteria in the body, and remember, we have something called as the mucosal barrier. The mucosal barrier, that is something which is made up of the mucosa, the inner lining of the mucosa. You already know we have the GIT, gastrointestinal tract, the stomach, the small intestine, the large intestine, right? And guys, yes, the mucosal barrier, it is also present. The mucosa, it is also present in the respiratory part also. So it is the GIT or the respiratory barrier, guys, that acts as a first line of defense. Apart from that, guys, the cells which I have already told you, the WBCs, guys, the eosinophils, right? The neutrophils, the eosinophils, yes, the basophils, and guys, the monocytes. Apart from that, we have also discussed that we have the natural killer cells that are also like taking part in this innate immunity, right? So that is something that you have to remember. And we have, yes, we have over here something called as the pattern recognition receptors, guys. The pattern recognition receptors are there. The pattern recognition receptors are there, PRR, and we have the complement system over here. We'll be discussing about it, the complement system over here. Whereas coming on to the other hand, the acquired immunity, guys, you already know it is, yeah, this immunity, it is for long duration. It is for long duration. Comparing it with this innate immunity, guys, remember innate immunity, it is short term. It is short term and it is non-specific, right? It is non-specific. Whereas the acquired immunity, it is from long duration, right? Long duration, basically we have the memory cells which are formed. The memory cells which are formed over here, right? It's for the long duration and the memory cells which are formed. And yeah, it is activated only after the specific antigen exposure, right? So remember, guys, over here, we have various examples, guys. The one which I have already discussed with you, it is the lymphocytes, right? The lymphocytes, that is the B lymphocytes and the T lymphocytes, right? Apart from that, we have the plasma cells. We have the plasma cells that are also, yeah, in the acquired immunity wala part, right? Plasma cells. And the third one that you should remember, guys, it is the antibodies. It is the antibodies, right? So that is the basic difference between the innate and the acquired immunity, guys. So let us just try to summarize this information, whatever is given in the notes. So let us just try to answer these questions that what. So immune system, remember, guys, remember adaptive, acquired, adaptive, or specific. I've told you it's one. It is capable of specifically recognizing. I've told you specific antigen, guys, specific antigen, right? And eliminating invading microorganisms and foreign molecules. So these antigens are nothing but these are the proteinaceous molecules, right? The foreign molecules, the microorganisms, right? So innate immunity displays four. Okay. Now this acquired immunity has four characteristics that I have already told you. It is specific to a particular antigen, right? It can recognize the recognition diversity is there. Immunological memory, I told you it's a long term, right? It stays for a long term, long duration, right? So it is having these memory cells, right? So it is having these immunological memory, right? And it is able to differentiate between the own self and the other this yeah, the antigens, right? So remember, yes, exposure to an antigen will lead to the development of the immunological memory, right? So as a result, a second encounter of body to the same antigen, guys, will result in this immune response, right? It will result in this immune response. Now, second, so the immune system recognizes and corresponds to foreign antigens as it is capable of distinguishing self and non-self, what is in the body and what is coming from outside the body, right? So autoimmune diseases are caused due to failure of discrimination of self and non-self antigens. When our own body starts reacting to our own antigen, that is something which will lead to these autoimmune disorders. Autoimmune disorders, right? I'll be coming to the autoimmune disorders in a bit. So remember, guys, the organization, the immune system consists of several organs, and these lymphoid organs are primary and secondary. The primary lymphoid organs, right? And we have the secondary lymphoid organs. Secondary lymphoid organs. So the primary lymphoid organs basically, yeah, so they are required for the development and maturation of antigen sensitive lymphocytes. So basically, the primary lymphoid organs, the examples are very, very important. Again, a Viva question, that is thymus and the bone marrow. They are the central or the primary lymphoid organs. So T lymphocytes, basically maturation occurs in the thymus. The B lymphocyte, the maturation occurs in the bone marrow. So B for B, remember the B lymphocytes, the maturation will take place in the bone marrow. The T lymphocytes, the maturation will take place in the thymus. Secondary lymphoid organs. So what is the main function over here? It is for the initiation of the immune response. So we have various examples: the spleen, the tonsils, the lymph nodes, the appendix, and the Peyer's patches in the gut. Right, the Peyer's patches in the guts. So we have the primary lymphoid organs that are only two, guys. Remember the thymus and the bone marrow. So in the thymus, basically maturation of T for T, that is the T lymphocytes. Bone marrow, basically, it is the B lymphocytes that will be getting matured in the bone marrow. Secondary lymphoid organs, basically, we have the examples: spleen, tonsils, lymph nodes, appendix, and the Peyer's patches of the gut. Right? Now, secondary lymphoid organs provide microenvironment for interaction between the antigen and the mature lymphocytes. Now, there are two types of no cells in the immune system, the B cells and the T cells, right? So remember the B cells, it is the site of development and maturation of B cells. It is in bursa, fabricus in birds, and bone marrow. That's why the name B cells in mammals, right? In birds, it is bursa fabricus and bone marrow in mammals, right? B cell, now remember guys, the B cell, it will be getting matured into the plasma cells, right? And these plasma cells will secrete something that will be called as antibodies. Antibodies. So B cells mature into plasma cells, and these plasma cells will secrete these antibodies, and that is nothing but the immunoglobins, right? The gamed immunoglobin GAMED, right? B cells possess capability to specifically recognize each antigen and produce antibodies, that is the immunoglobins against it. Okay, whenever any foreign particle, that is any antigen, will enter into the body, what will happen, guys? These B cells have the capability to recognize this antigen and to produce a specific antibody against it, right? So remember, guys, they are associated with the humoral immunity, right? They are associated with which immunity? The humoral immunity. Second, that is the T lymphocytes, guys. So remember, guys, the T lymphocytes, the maturation basically it occurs in the thymus, right? It can identify the viruses, guys, and microorganisms from antigens displayed on their surfaces, right? The virus have basically different antigens which are no displaced on the surface, and other microorganisms, so that can be recognized by these T lymphocytes. Remember, guys, we have four different types of T cells. The very first one, that is the inducer T cells. So that mediates development of T cells in the thymus. The cytotoxic, very important. The cytotoxic T cells, it recognize and help in killing the infected or abnormal cells. The helper T cells initiate the immune response. Okay, obviously helper, it will try to help or initiate the immune response. The suppressor T cells mediate suppression of the immune response, right? So we have inducer, which mediate development of T cells in the thymus. I've already told you the primary lymphoid organs, these are the bone marrow and the thymus. The cytotoxic basically helps in recognizing and killing of the infected cells, right? Helper will try to initiate the immune response, right? And suppressor will try to mediate suppression of the immune response. So T lymphocytes are responsible for cell-mediated immunity, whereas B lymphocytes are for humoral immunity, right? So that is one important difference. The B lymphocytes are responsible for the humoral immunity. The T lymphocytes are responsible for the cell-mediated immunity. Coming on to the next question, guys, that is one of the question that has been in today's topic. That is the major histocompatibility complex, guys. Now, MHA represents special group of proteins. Now, these are nothing but the special group of proteins, guys. These are special group of proteins. Now, these proteins are basically present on the surface of the T lymphocyte. Now, let us suppose these are the T lymphocytes, and these T lymphocytes will have special group of these proteins, and these are nothing but the major histocompatibility complex. Now, they are responsible. Now, these are nothing but the MHC, right? Now, what is the function of this MHC? They will be involved in recognition of antigens on the T cells, right? So yes, they help in, yeah, the recognition of the antigens on the T cells, right? So we have various antigens. So they help in recognition of the antigens on the T cells, right? B cell receptors can recognize antigens on their own, while T cells can do through mediation of the major histocompatibility complex. Now, these proteins, the major histocompatibility complex proteins, they are basically, yes, they are basically encoded by a cluster of genes located on chromosome 6. Very, very important. Remember that they are encoded by a cluster of genes located on chromosome 6, right? It is also referred to as the human leukocyte antigen, that is HLA, right? These classes of MHC molecules, these are actually the glycoproteins. Now, when I say glycoproteins, guys, these are nothing but the glycogen, the carbohydrate part plus the protein, right? They are known in humans, the class 1, class 2, and class 3. Class 1 molecules, remember beta, it is the nucleated cells of the body. It is the nucleated cells of the body. Class 2, it is the leukocytes that are involved in the cell-mediated immune response. I've already told you it is the T cells, right? Class 3, it is proteins processing immune functions, right? So that is something you have to remember, guys, over here, right? Yeah. Now, innate immunity, guys, you already know it is divided into the immunity, it is divided into innate or adaptive. Innate, I've already told you, non-specific, and it has like the first line of defense, that is the skin, right? I have told you in the skin, that is the skin epithelium, which will help in this, yeah, prevent entry of microorganisms and viruses, right? The sweat also, it is like the first line of defense, contains an enzyme lysozyme that destroys the bacterial cell wall. The second line of defense, right? The acquired immunity, right? The second line of defense, it is the acquired immunity, the specific immunity, right? Or, yeah, the adaptive immunity, right? Such as, yeah, the second line of defense, right? So remember, guys, that it helps in the sneezing and secretion of the mucus. I've already told you, body also tries to kill the pathogen by phagocytosis, right? They engulf it and they try to destroy it, right? Inflammatory response and fever response of body are also a part of innate immunity. Guys, remember the inflammation process that is being occurring, that will be dealing in the pathology part in the second year, guys, and the fever, they are also a part of the innate immunity, right? Now, coming on to the third, the important question, that is the autoimmune disorders, guys. Now, there are two types of antigens, guys. The one which are coming from outside, that is the foreign particles or the antigens. So body always tries to recognize that foreign particle and tries to destroy it by activating the immune system. Whereas when we talk about the autoimmune disorders, when the body is not able to differentiate between the outside and the inside antigens, and body itself is trying to destroy its own antigen inside it, the normal antigens of our body, and that is something which will result in this autoimmune disorders. Now, in this, basically, the immune system fails to discriminate between self and non-self, right? The cells or tissues of the body are attacked, right? The own cells of the body will be attacked. So that is something. Auto means self immunity. It is basically harming our own body, right? Self immunity, and the diseases are regarded as the autoimmune disorders. So remember, guys, yes. Now, basically, the self antibodies are already generated, right? And that is something referred as the auto antibodies, right? So the very first one, we have the insulin dependent diabetes, right? Now, remember the pancreatic cell autoreactive T cells and antibodies, the rheumatoid arthritis, right? So, remember our body is creating antibodies against our own proteins that are present in the joints. So, that will something lead to arthritis, the inflammation of the joints, guys, right? Rheumatoid arthritis, multiple joint pains will be there in the body. Myasthenia gravis, right? The acetylcholine receptor. Again, guys, one very, very important question that always no students try to confuse with. It is acetylcholine receptor. The antibodies are formed against the receptor, not the acetylcholine. Um, right? So it is the receptor, guys. It is not the acetylcholine, right? It is the receptor, guys. Very, very important. So yes, our body is trying to make antibodies against the receptor of the acetylcholine, whereas the acetylcholine molecule is always normal, right? Autoimmune hemolytic anemia. Basically, the our body is trying to make this what we say antibodies against our own RBCs, right? The erythrocyte autoantibodies. That is something leading to hemolysis, guys, right? The RBC will be getting destroyed. Hemolysis will be there, and obviously there will be less hemoglobin in the blood that will be resulting in anemia, and that's due to the own our own body is trying to destroy it. So that's why it is referred as the autoimmune hemolytic anemia. So remember, right, guys, the mechanism of autoimmunity, right? So remember, autoimmunity generally occurs as a consequence of body's response against bacterial, viral, or any foreign antigen. Now, some of the epitopes of foreign antigens are similar to epitopes present on the certain host proteins. So there is always a result in the cross reaction of antigens and antibodies, which may lead to autoimmune disorders, right? So remember, even in the organ transplantation, right? Whenever we are trying to transplant an organ, right? What is happening? The phenomena of transfer of cells, tissues, or organs from one site to another, right? We have liver transplant, heart transplant, right? So if it's in the same organism, guys, if it is in the same organism, it is called autograft, or from other organism, it is allograft is regarded as the organ transplantation. So we have xenograft, guys. So the tissues organs are transferred from one species to another, from pig to man. Now, organ transplantation is associated with immunological complications and tissue rejection. Obviously, you are transferring one organ to another, or one organ from one person to another person. Obviously, the other person's immunity will try to react. It will treat that organ as an specific antigen, guys, right? The specific foreign particle, and will try to produce antibodies against it, because the host body no response to the transplanted tissue in a similar way. It was like any foreign particle which is no entering or invading the body. So yes, so remember, guys, the major proteins that are responsible for this rejection, it is the major histocompatibility complex, right? So remember, these MHC proteins are unique to each individual, and the immune system responds promptly to foreign major histocompatibility complex, right? Now, even the cancers, guys, the tumor antigens, also referred to as the oncofetal antigens, right? The fetoprotein, they are recognized as non-self by the immune system, right? So the immune system, they are recognizing at non-specific and right? So tumors have developed several mechanisms to evade the immune response. So for example, the very first one that you already know, that is the acquired immunodeficiency syndrome, AIDS, which is caused by immunodeficiency virus, that is the HIV virus, guys. The HIV virus, right? So it is characterized by the immune suppression, secondary neoplasm, right? The cancer, right? The secondary neoplasm and neurological manifestation. So what happens, guys? It primarily affects the cell-mediated immune system, the T cell system, which protects the body from the intracellular parasites such as viruses and bacteria. So remember, guys, most of the immunodeficiency symptoms of the AIDS, they are associated in a reduction of CD4, the complement system, right? The complement protein 4, the cluster determinant antigen 4 cells, right? So that is about today's class, guys. So these are the social media handles that you can guys follow and can get the link for the upcoming classes, right? So we'll be starting with a new series soon on the YouTube. Stay tuned for further updates, guys. Thank you for your patience and listening me out.